Shkoyach Rabbi Korf. Reach this one, right? This one's better. Huh? That's fine. That's fine.
You what?
I'm the Jew.
Myers, right? What?
Get anything? Very strong about this. Absolutely. It's new technology for the kids. Also the women need to hear also. You win, okay? We have with us all the way from Kan Sivas Hashem Esabracha. We have a shliach who has a schus every day to deal with Bochum and teaches in Yeshivas Oli Torah, the Rebbe's Yeshiva, and 770 as well. Siddur at both Nigla, and does a lot of work around the New York City with Heichel Menachem, giving a shirim to all different types of audiences. We have with us, joining us to Farbrengen with us for Beis, Gimmel, Tammuz, Rabbi Shlomo Kaplan. Thank you, Rabbi Kaplan. Chaim.
Before the first thing, always by Minhag Chassidim, when it comes to a Chag Geula, a day, a Yom Tov like it is Tammuz, so the minhag is to say first the basic parshas, the story of the Parshas Hayom, the Meiser and the Geula, the Rekud of the story. That's one of the basic, besides first the Friedrich Beis, the Yom Tov Chag Geula, but also Apidin, Apishchon Aruch, and there's a Shlomo having to get his man. When you get to place, when you get to Makim, if someone meets a place that a nest happened to him, a Makim that a nest happened to him personally, so there's a chiyuv to make a bracha b'shvach, to thank the Eibusher for the nest that happened to him. And then the same thing is if there's a nes shenasa l'Rabbi, so al derech zeh there's a special chiyuv, a special obligation to be mevarech and mahalot b'mishavech to the Eibusher, to thank the Eibusher for the nest that he did to Rabbi. So when it comes to a nest which happened to a Nasi Adair, we're all Yidden which learn the Friedrich Rebbe's, the Rebbe's Chassidim, we learn the. So it's Nest Shenasa Rabbi, and it's also Api Pashtus, the Nest Shenasa Rabbi, the Friedrich Rebbe's Mr. Nefesh in Russia. If not for that Mr. Nefesh, the Rebbe mentioned many by Farbrengen many times that the fact that there was a continuation of Yiddishkeit in Russia, Bechlal, and then later the Friedrich Rebbe came to America and established Yiddishkeit in America, that came Oliver as a result of Yid Tammuz. So the fact that there's, like Rabbi Korf said before, the fact that we're Levitic Yidden connected to our Neshama, that's because of the Yid Tammuz, because of the Gula of the Friedrich Rebbe. So it's Pashat Zman, when it comes this time of the year, so it's a Chiv Apidin for the Bim Shabech, to thank the Eibishter for the Nisim, and so you know they're always in Torah when there's a Chiv Apidin, any time Torah says there's a Chiv to commemorate something, to remember it, and to celebrate it. It's not Torah's Emes. Torah's Emes means that if Torah says to remember something, that means that idea is still existent, still exists. It's not just something that happened in the past, and we're just telling someone to remember something, to relive something, or to think about something that doesn't exist anymore. It happened years ago. And now you're just reminding yourself. The Teras Emes is saying to remember it. It means that the idea is still active and is still the famous word of the Arizal. When you mention it, we say by Farbrengen, and we commemorate the story. We try to each one in his own way to take a lesson and to apply to himself what he could strengthen his own Avodas Hashem from the story of Beis Tammuz. So that's V'nasim, the same Nisim, the same miracles that happened then in Yud Beis Tammuz and Yud Gimmel Tammuz. So they're the same Nisim are Nimshach today, even without the Farbrengen. They're like it comes with basically the Gimmel Tammuz. So the Inyanim are Nimshach, the same Nisim and the same Yeshua that the Eibusher was Namshach then. The same thing is this day we're able to access these Nisim and Yeshuas to come Almayla. The way to bring these the powers that the Eibusher gives us in this day, to bring it down that it should be able to connect with it, and you should be able to bring it practically in our day-to-day life. So that's a Chassidus Farbrengen, to take this kayach that we get on this day and to actually bring it down and implement it, think about it, and that's to bring it down to our day-to-day life. So just to mention the nukud of the story of Beis Tammuz was that we're dealing with the Friedrich Rebbe's time. The Friedrich Rebbe's Nesius was a time that there was impossible. It was becoming very difficult and almost impossible to lead a regular frume Yiddish life. Pichek, they asked the schools you weren't allowed to have chadar, you weren't able to have schools, and any religious jobs weren't legal in those days. So the sheikhet and everybody legally had to be registered by the Memshala. You had to do a certain service, a certain job. And a sheikhet or a rav or a malamed, these are things that a school b'chlal was illegal. And al derech zeh, to have a job as a teacher wasn't considered a job in those days. Everybody had to be registered with a certain thing that they do for the government. So it's become out impossible to live a normal Yiddish life and to have Yiddishkeit, the infrastructure of the Chadarim and Talmud Torahs and the Yiddish life. So most Yiddish manhigim, most Rabbanim, they gave up. They said that it's not possible to have. There's no continuation. There's no hemshech. There's no future for Yiddishkeit and for learning Torah, for educating children in a Yiddish way. in this in Russia and that place of the world where everybody tried to leave, tried to run away. All the manhigim and the rabbanim and the melamdim, those who were able to escaped. The only one that stayed was the Frierdiker Rebbe stayed. The Rebbe brings a lashon sometimes like Avram Avinu, that he was Echad Hay Avram, one yid that stayed with a Teikef or with a Rakshanis, and the Frierdiker Rebbe was ran a massive network of holding. It was a whole system how it worked. There was also Chabad Chassidim, of course, the Frierdiker Rebbe's Chassidim, that he sent them all around Russia to go to different shtetl, and each was a whole seder, how it was divided, the entire Russia, and each one had an area that he was achray, he was in charge of that, responsible for that area, to find out, to go to meet the different, all the parents of the go to a certain shtetl, and to go meet all the parents, and to find out how many children there are, and what ages there are, to try to convince the parents to send them to the schools, to send them to the chadarim, and then to notify to the Frierdiker Rebbe how many, or there was a vad, to notify how many children you have in this shtetl, and we need to have a malamet for them. And the Frierdiker would send the Chassidim, they were ready to be Meisher Nefesh, even if someone was caught, so it was something that, even before you were caught, it wasn't like you were able to provide normally, and it wasn't B'chlam, not in a regular seder, but the Chassidim that were ready to devote themselves, dedicate themselves to the Frierdiker Rebbe's work, so they would send, whether it was Ingerman or a Bacher, send him to a certain shtetl that he should teach this amount of children. The Frierdiker Rebbe would support the Malamdim. He would give. The Frierdiker Rebbe had a kuppah that he would support them, and that was a whole network with hundreds of chadarim, underground chadarim, hidden chadarim that he had in the entire Russia. And that Be'etzim state, the Frierdiker Rebbe's work continued, never stopped. There was never a zman where there was a hefsik of yeshivas and chadarim, this form and that form, whichever form it was, but there was always Yidden in Kehillas all over Russia that sat and continued learning Torah. That was all the Frierdiker Rebbe's work, to keep the Chadarim alive, to keep Yiddishkeit alive, and eventually the different details exactly how the arrest actually came to be, but the point was that they realized that the force behind all the flourishing of Yiddishkeit and the whole chayis of Yiddishkeit is coming from the Frierdiker Rebbe, so they arrested him at Tezvav Sivan Tavish Pezayin, and he was in jail for till Gimmel Tammuz. Really, Rish Chedesh Tammuz, they told him that there's all Riches Apratim, the different details of the story. Frierdiker Rebbe himself wrote the Rishimas HaMaiser. He writes the many details of the whole story of the arrest and his redemption. But in Gimmel Tammuz, he was notified that he's being released from prison, and he's being exiled to Kastrama, far away from where the Frierdiker Rebbe's family was, and where the Chassidim were, where the Yidden were, Farbrengen, Shtetl, Kastrama, and that's where he's going to be exiled there for 3 years. And then it's an interesting thing that so maybe we'll mention this part just to say the point of the general survey of Tammuz. Then he was in Kastrama. He went to Gimmel Tammuz, and he was there till based every single day. Whoever was in exile, whoever was in under the government, his penalty was that he's in exile in a certain place. So they had to go register themselves every single day to make sure that they don't run away. They had to go to a certain office in that shtetl, wherever they were. Frierdiker was in Kastrama, and they have to go to the office to register to show that they're here. They're not there. They didn't go anywhere. So on the Beis Tammuz, it was a Tuesday, and the Frierdiker Rebbe went to register himself that he's here. And that day, all the offices were closed. There was a certain chag then, or a certain holiday in Russia, and all the offices were closed. And they told him there was one officer there, and he told the Frierdiker Rebbe that he was notified. There was a message came from Moscow, from the government, that he's freed. But since all the offices are closed, he can't give him the certificate that he's free. He can't give him the official certificate that he's released from prison. So he's telling him orally that he's free. But on paper, the Frierdiker Rebbe was still in exile, was still under their control. Yud Gimmel Tammuz, the next day, that's when the Frierdiker Rebbe got the official certificate that he's free, and that's Yud Beis Yud Gimmel Tammuz. The day Tammuz Frierdiker Rebbe's birthday. So that's when he was notified that he's free. That's when they made the decision already. From the government's point of view, the decision was made that he's free on Yud Beis Tammuz. That was only the decision. Till you get the certificate, you get the official document stamped that you're free. So they could have changed their mind, and there could be this and that. It still wasn't official yet. It still wasn't established on paper that he's a free, and he's able to go back to his family and to continue his spreading Chassidus and to do whatever the Friedrich Rebbe did till then. So the official certificate was given Yud Gimmel Tammuz. So that's the Yom Tov Yud Beis Yud Gimmel Tammuz. That's the whole goal of the Friedrich Rebbe was in a certain way, in a gradual way. For Gimmel Tammuz he was freed from prison, but he went to Golus, he went to exile, and then Yud Beis Tammuz, then Yud Gimmel Tammuz. But the point is that that's the Yom Tov Yud Beis Yud Gimmel Tammuz. And the fact that Friedrich was redeemed was simply a miracle, not according to the natural course of the way things work. So in Russia, it wasn't shaykh. If there was someone, and Friedrich Rebbe's stature, that he was the whole life of Yid, he was the pillar of the whole life of Yiddishkeit, and that the government was trying to fight it with all their might. And here they freed the Friedrich Rebbe, being full aware of who the Friedrich. It wasn't like they didn't. It's not like in those 2 weeks the Friedrich Rebbe was. They taught him a certain lesson, and they felt like that they have a certain control over him, and he's not going to behave the same way he behaved. Before he went to prison, they showed him what they're able to do. The Friedrich Rebbe stayed with the same takeif, and they were aware of it. The Friedrich Rebbe stayed with the same strength. Because in prison itself, the Friedrich Rebbe behaved in a way that he was. There was no sense of lowering himself down to any of the obligations that a regular prisoner had to do. So the same tkifos that he had while he was outside of prison, that same strength and that same solid power he showed while he was in prison. And together with the fact that they were fully aware of who the Friedrich Rebbe was and how he's the Nasi and he's the one that's keeping he's the pillar of the whole Yiddishkeit in Russia, still, it's not the freedom. It was a nes l'mayla miderech hateva. And these are none of this is just the point in the kudah of the story which happened then at Beis Tammuz. And Yom Eilin is kind of an answer. These are things that anytime there's a Yom Tif that Sama Tzaddik brings in Derech V'Sesecha, and he speaks about Chanukah and Purim, there's a Yom Tif, there's many nisim that happened to Yid in the whole history. Many miracles that happened. But not every miracle that happened was a Yom Tif established because of that miracle. There's things that happened, like the Gemara says, there was many nevuos which were not written down as part of Kisra Kesh, part of Tanakh. And you have nevuos, you have certain prophecies that were written down. So which nevuos were written and which nevuos weren't? So nevuos is any prophecy which is an eternal message, which is negayah to know forever. So that became part of Torah, that became part of the Tanakh. Nevuah is a nevuah which Yidden need for eternity, so that was written down part of Tanakh. But nevuah shaloi hitzchol was only a temporary thing. It was a special revelation which was needed for a certain period of time. So that didn't become part of Tanakh. Didn't become part of Torah. So Al-Darzi had many miracles that happened mesh of the generations by Yidden. But not every miracle, as a result of the miracle, there was a Yom Tov established. There was a whole, here, Yud Beis Tammuz, the Friedrich established it as a Yom Tov, because it wasn't just a miracle that happened at that time that he was freed. That freedom, even if you look from our point of view, but that freedom was the breakthrough that Yiddishkeit should be able to continue. The Friedrich with his full strength was freed. And that full strength brought later that Yiddishkeit continued to flourish, continued to grow, and that was this revelation, this koach that was brought down to the world then, is needed for eternity. Every place has its type of concealments and its type of gzeiros, this type of decrees, this type of hardships that we have to push through and we have to battle against, so to speak. And Yud Beis Tammuz gives us the koach to be able to break through any limitations, any barriers for the Eir of Torah and Mitzvahs, for the Eir of the Eibusher to be able to penetrate and to break through any obstacles or any barriers that might be stopping from a Yid and for the what the Eibusher wants to be able to fulfill in this world. And that's something which is constantly needed. Yeah, that's just the Nekudas HaMaaseh. It's a Farbrengen. It's not everybody's saying it's, we're all sitting and celebrating Yud Beis Tammuz. It's not Farbrengen is the external form is that I'm sitting over here with a mic and I'm speaking, but it's Yid and Zin is sitting together and we're discussing a little bit the Parshas Hayim and try to make it relevant to us and try to take from it a message to be able to continue to bring us our chayes and our Rebbeinu Hashem. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Ay, 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 ay. Like white.
Corey White.
What's not again? That's what you want again. The niggin that was composed, the Kesher this Tammuz, was made before the Friedker was redeemed. But it was made with as a niggin that when the Friedker was going to be redeemed, that should be the niggin that should bring out the should be for the sake of the Geula, even though it was made before, but it was but to be tach and the Friedker was for sure going to be redeemed. So that's why there's a little bit of a tnu of Merirus in the niggin. But it was made as a niggin for the Geula even before it happened. That's this year, so the Kfir, the first time in the Beis Tammuz actually was Tuesday, Wednesday, and it was Parshas Pinchas. The Parsha of the week of that week was the week of Parshas Pinchas in basically Gimmel Tammuz. This year, Gimmel Tammuz is the week of Parshas Pinchas. The Frierdiker Rebbe says in the Farbrengen that he says that the Geula was Parshas Pinchas, and the Frierdiker Rebbe was his bris. Gites Tammuz, in the year the Frierdiker Rebbe was born, that's Tafresh Mem, so his bris was also the week of Parshas Pinchas. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said that many things that happened to him in his life are hinted, some are hidden, and some are even revealed. They're explicitly clear. All hinted in Parshas Pinchas. It says Sheyesh Shishim Ribi Oisis LaTorah. So every yid, there's somewhere in Torah that every yid has a letter in Torah, and every yid's staka beraisa bara alma. Everything that happens in the world, everything is rooted. Everything, the source of everything is Torah. But the Frierdiker Rebbe says specifically, every yid has a chelik in Torah. Not every person knows which part of Torah exactly alludes and it relates to his story, to his personal tafkid in his life. But the Frierdiker Rebbe says that many things that happened to him in his life is connected to Parshas Pinchas, and his merumas behelim and megillah in Parshas Pinchas. That's what the Frierdiker Rebbe says so just to mention one point that the Rebbe brings in the Sichos when they get to Pinchas. That's the Gemara says in Brachis, the Gemara has a whole sugya in Brachis about dreams. So one of the things the Gemara says there is that if someone sees Pinchas in a dream, Pele Nasalei, a wonder is going to happen to him. As I state in the Gemara, if someone Harayet Pinchas B'chaleim, Pele Nasalei, a wonder is going to happen to him. Then the Gemara says later, if someone sees a pil B'chaleim, someone sees an elephant, so Plois Nasalei, also says a Niflois Nasalei. And if someone sees a multiple amount of pilim, of elements, pili place of elephants, a pili play nasli, that's the Gemara says there. So Rashi says, why if someone sees Pinchas in his dream, pele nasli, that's a sign that there's going to be a wondrous, the Eibush is going to do some wonder to him. It's because, by the story when Pinchas killed Zimri, which at the end of last week's parsha, beginning of this week's parsha, so the Gemara says that there was many nisim happened. That's what Rashi says. Harbi nisim nasli. When he killed Zimri then, so there was the Gemara lists 6 nisim, 6 miracles that happened. The fact that Zimri didn't call for help, but the Gemara lists a couple of nisim there, miracles that happened to Pinchas when he killed Zimri. So the Gemara says 6 miracles. It says other places in Medrash it says that 12 nisim, many nisim happened to him when that whole story was done. The way he killed him, many different details. So therefore, if someone sees Pinchas in his dream, therefore a wonder is going to happen to him, because Pinchas, many wonders happen to Pinchas, and therefore if you see Pinchas in your dream, Pele Nasalin. That's what Rashi says. So the question is, a simple question, if the reason why if someone sees Pinchas, the reason why Pele Nasalin is going to have a wonder is because he sees Pinchas in his dream, and many nisim happen to Pinchas, so you should have many nisim, not just one. The Gemara just says if someone sees Pinchas in his dream, he's going to have a Pele. A wondrous thing is going to happen to him. Rashi says, why are you going to have a wondrous? Because Pinchas, many miracles happen. If many miracles happen to Pinchas, if someone sees Pinchas in his dream, you should have many miracles, not just one. You have other things the Gemara says, if someone sees Yechanan in his dream, or Huna in his dream, if someone sees, for example, the name Huna, the name Huna in his dream, he's going to have a miracle, because Huna has one nun in the name Huna, so one nun corresponds to a nest, a miracle. But Pinchas, Rashi says, the reason why someone sees Pinchas in his dream, a miracle happens, not because he sees the letters, Pei Nun Chesama. From Rashi is but the way the Mashal from Rashi is, if someone sees the image of Pinchas, it's not if someone sees the name Pinchas, that would have been exciting, but if someone sees the image of Pinchas in his dream, then Pele Nasalei. So so why? Because Pinchas himself, many miracles happen, so therefore if you see Pinchas in your dream, you'll have many miracles. So why Pele? Should be nisim, many nisim, why only one? So there's the Rebbe says in the Sikha, the point is that when the Gemara says when someone says Pinchas Hashem Pele Nasalei, Pele doesn't mean he's going to have one wondrous thing that's going to happen. Pele means that there's a nest doesn't necessarily mean it's wondrous. A nest, you have nisim and you have neflois. Nisim, part of the way the Eibush created the world, so there's the regular structure, the way the world runs, that's according to certain rules and certain. It's called in Chukei Ateva, Hagas Ateva. They say the regular or the basic way Hashem runs the world according to rules. Then there is nisim. There's certain things that are beyond the rules of nature. There's kriyas yamsov, the Eibush for the sake of saving the Yidden. So then havach yam le'abasha, this David split the sea was a miraculous, higher than nature. But even a nes, it's not wondrous. Part of the way the world works is that usually it's an hagas hateva, and bisman l'zman, there's a specific need, and there's something which is a yitzim and a klal. There's miracles that happen. Now, the idea of a miracle is not wonder. It's not out of the norm. It's not something that's. It's not a phenomena that's. It's something that's. It's going to make us. It's a pella. It's not a pella because part of the this is the Eibush created the world is that usually the seder is that there's an hagas hateva, the way the world works according to nature. But to begin with, mizman, there's the Indian of nest. There's miracles. So the idea of a miracle itself, the idea of something happening not according to the rules of nature, it's not a wonder. Pella means that Pinchas the phenomenon of Pinchas was something that was a wondrous thing happened. The Gemara brings about that nest. It wasn't just one nest that happened. There was a series of 6 miracles that happened. Every move that he did, and that's the Gemara mentions once to it. Every move that he did was a miracle. The Gemara goes through the whole system of how it worked, but the way he held a knife and the way every single detail. And the way the Yidden saw what he did, everything was in every aspect, in every inch, there was another nest. So he was a different type of phenomenon. It wasn't Pinchas is a pella. It's not just the regular. In other words, the regular seder that the Eibush created the world is that there's a seder of chukei shemayim v'aretz, according to a seder of things work in a natural way. And then from time to time, when there's a special yitzim and a klal, the Eibush does a miracle. There's a miraculous behavior. Then, by Pinchas, we saw that to begin with, every movement of what he did was a miracle associated with it. It was something not of the norm. So that's the Gemara says if someone sees Pinchas, if someone sees the image of Pinchas, Pinchas is an ish pella. There was something wondrous about it. So that's why if someone sees Pinchas in his dream, he's pella nasis. Pella nasis doesn't just mean he's going to have a miracle. That means that there's something which is a different type of energy is going to be affected. He's going to be affected. What's this idea of pella? So we speak more. We speak to the way it is in Avodas Hashem. So you have regularly the Eibush created a person is that there's the same way in the world. The way the Eibush runs the world is according to basic hagas hateva, not in a miraculous way. The idea of a miracle of a nes is something which is yitzim miderech haragel, something which is not. It's a miraculous behavior. So there's when it comes to a person, the Eibush created a person with a seichel and midas. The person has his structure, the way his nefesh is built, and a pitayra, the regular way a person is supposed to live his life, is based on reason. A person should, when he's making a decision to do something, you don't do something based on l'mayla of beyond reason or l'mayla mitam vadas. A person has to make a cheshbon pitayra, what's right and what's wrong, what he understands. How we understand every shayla, you pass me a shayla l'alach, you have to learn the idea, learn the topic, and to come to a conclusion al pi seichel of according to the way you understand what has to be right, what has to be the right attitude towards the behavior. The idea of having Mesiras Nefesh and to go beyond reason and to dedication beyond any limits, that's something which is needed only from time to time. It's not the regular way a person is supposed to live his life. You don't wake up in the morning and the way a person is supposed to live his life is beyond reason. Mizman, Eibush gives a person a nisayin that he has to, in order for him to go over this nisayin, he has to bring out within him deeper dedication, deeper commitment to the Eibush, even beyond reason or beyond the idea of sacrificing himself. But regularly, the regular type of Hashem that's demanded of a person is based on not demanding of a person to dedicate himself beyond reason and beyond any limitations. That's what Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, for example, that the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu told Yidden before they went into Eretz Yisrael, he gave them the mitzvah of Krishna, because in order for Yid to serve Hashem the way it's supposed to be, he has to always remember the mitzvah of Mesiras Nefesh. He has to always remember the idea that he's ready, that theoretically he's ready to dedicate to give over his life for the Eibush. But it's not that every single day what's demanded of a person is to dedicate himself, literally, to put himself in danger. Mizman does not, the Eibush puts a Yid in a nisayin. But regularly, what the Eibush demands from a person is to serve Hashem in a way that suits the regular form of life. When it comes to we say Pinchas is a pele. I wonder if Pinchas is a pele means that it's not the way it is by regular people. That regularly it's a regular that average way of life is a regular way of life, and Mr. Never is something which comes mizman l'zman from time to time. But Pinchas, to begin with, his initial attitude was that whatever the Eibishter wants, that's going to have to be carried out. Whether it's, we'll say a little l'chaim. We'll say a little l'chaim. L'chaim. As I say, this. This point that the Rebbe is masber that Pinchas is a pella. Pinchas has to do with pella. If you look at regularly, according to Shulchan Aruch, the way the idea that a yid that doing a mitzvah and serving Hashem, dedicating himself to Avodas Hashem, doing a mitzvah is even at the expense of a person's own life. The idea of Mesiras Nefesh, that's not. We understand regularly. For most mitzvahs, there's only 3 mitzvahs. There's a chiyuv of Yiharek V'Yav. If you go according to the basic halachas of Torah, so the Torah is given in a way that it shouldn't negate a person's mitzvahs. On the contrary, you say v'chayben. The purpose of Torah is that it should add and enhance a person's life. V'chayben v'leishi yamazben means the general way. There's the way the notion, the way we understand the regular obligation of Torah mitzvahs is a person, and the person's life has value, and there's his needs and the way his seichel, his midas, and the Torah was given not to negate a person's life, not to negate the reality of the person. The point of Torah mitzvahs is to enhance a person's life and to give him his life a meaning, and to give him the right understanding of how he should look at things, to give him the right perspective and the right feelings. The idea is that we have this aspect in Yiddishkeit that a Yid has to be ready to dedicate himself to the Eibusher, even at the expense of his own life, even at the expense of giving away, of negating himself. That's not the basic obligation, that's not the basic function of what Yiddishkeit is, where we understand the regular understanding of things. The purpose of why the Eibusher gets there is, for the purpose why the Eibusher gets there in mitzvahs is, there should be live people, there should be a world and people living, and the way a person lives according to his nature. And the Torah was given while a person is living his regular natural life, and Torah is given to him in order to imbue meaning in his life, and to give him the kelim in order to fulfill and to develop he had his own life, and from time to time he had to dedicate himself and go beyond to sacrifice himself. To begin with, the only thing in the only value that existed was fulfilling the Eibusher's mission, fulfilling the Eibusher's ratzon. There brings the Maimer of Bas Lagani, the famous first Maimer the Rebbe said. There brings one of the Maimer, the Frierdiker Rebbe said, the first weeks that he was in America. The Rebbe brings the Maimer of Bas Lagani, Tafshin Yud Aleph, a word the Rebbe emphasizes in the Maimer that it's something the Frierdiker Rebbe said, Betchilas Bayil America. The first weeks that he came to America. The Rebbe's madgeshit because it has. The Rebbe saying this point is somehow relevant dafke to his coming to America. But the Rebbe says, what did the Frierdiker Rebbe speak about in a Maimer Betchilas Bayil America at the beginning when he came to America? Was the mile of Avram Avinu's Aveda over Rabbi Akiva's Aveda. That Rabbi Akiva was always searching and always yearning to come to the level of sacrificing himself for the Eibusher. He was yearning to get to this level of ultimate devotion, ultimate dedication to the Eibusher. Avram Avinu, l'chatchila, to begin with, wasn't thinking about what level of dedication where he's holding, what level of devotion he's holding. Which his focus was, there's an Eibusher who created the world, he has a mission, and his point was, his only focus was fulfilling the Eibusher's mission. What level of dedication he's holding by that wasn't part of the. This wasn't where he was holding. That's the Rebbe called. That's Pinchas. It's the same idea of Pinchas was if according to the regular way a person lives his life, that he has a person has his own. A person has his own dal damas. You have your life, and you have the obligation that Eibusher obligates you to do. Here, the story that Pinchas, when he killed Zimri, Al Pidin, there was no obligation for him to do it. It wasn't his business. It wasn't his shevet, and it wasn't his issue. No one called him to. He wasn't the nasi, and he wasn't the leader of the generation. It wasn't part of his obligations to do. But by him, it wasn't about what my obligation is. What's my duty? By him, his life, the value of his life was that whatever is negeir for the covenant of the Eibusher, whatever is negeir for Kiddushim Shemayim, whatever the Eibusher wants. So he's there to fulfill the Eibusher's mission. It wasn't about what's demanded of him and where he has to. To begin with, his focus was, the only value that he had was just that the Eibusher's will, his mission should be fulfilled. So Al Darza, when you get to the Frierdiker Rebbe, that the idea of Mesiras Nefesh, it wasn't just that it was a time of Russia, there was a certain need to sacrifice yourself and in order to keep Yiddishkeit the way it's supposed to be, you had to be ready to negate his comfort and to be able to sacrifice himself for the sake of Yiddishkeit. By the Frierdiker Rebbe, to begin with, the whole shtel of his life, the only value that existed in his life was fulfilling the Eibusher's will, fulfilling the Eibusher's mission. Whether what's going to be with his life, that wasn't a part of the equation. That's what it brings. But to get the connection between the Frierdiker Rebbe and Pinchas. This is speaking about the figure brings in the letter of Beis Tammuz that lo eisi bilvad gal HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it's bekol Hashem b'shem Yisrael yuchuna. This derech of a Yid's, that his only value is fulfilling the mission, fulfilling the Eibusher's will without bringing himself, without bringing his, whether it suits him or whether it's going to enhance his life or not. But the value is fulfilling the Eibusher's mission itself. That's something that Rabbeim, by them living a life that way, gave us the ability to be able to be aware of this type of serving Hashem, and to be and to take chayes in our way, wherever we're holding from this way of serving the Eibusher. L'chaim, l'chaim.
So the question is, what about us in our time?
Where is the Mesiras Nefesh?
Where do we how do we have?
Careful what you tell him, because he's going to do it.
Sing a nigga.
Allah
It's my thing. It's
No,
not.
only one guy.
Sometimes you know that.
But everything's great. Also,
Chaim. Now, there brings a Tanya that says, "B'tchila, olav machshava liber Yisrael midas hadin." To begin with, Hashem planned to create the world only just with midas hadin, just with the attribute of concealment, midas hadin. Ra she'ein ha'olam eskayim. The Eibush, Hashem saw that the world is not going to be able to exist, to function, and to be able to have a long term is not going to work. So shidif ima midas harachman. So he decided to involve in the act of creation not only with midas hadin but also with midas harachman, with the attribute of mercy. So how's Al Rebbe explained it in time? That's the medrash. Tchila olav machshav nivus ilan sadin. The Eibush Chatchila planned. Hashem's initial plan was to create the world just with din, judgment, with stringency, and then he saw that's not going to work, so therefore he decided to mix in a little bit midas harachman, the attribute of mercy, and to be more accepting, and to be more forgiving. That's the simple meaning, the simple translation of the medrash. But Al Rebbe explains in Tanya that midas hadin means that the initial olav machshava, the initial thought, the initial plan was to create the world in a way that the world should seem as if it's a full independent existence outside of the Eibush. There's the outside of Alakus, outside of the Eibush. What it means to speak about relevantly to the way that we look at things. We have Torah and mitzvahs, and Chassidus. So Chassidus brings out a certain objective. Why the Eibush created the world? What's the purpose, and where we're heading to. And I'm just bringing out one aspect of the idea. But the Chassidus brings out, that Rebbe explains at length in Tanya, that they created the world for the sake, for there to be a direh b'tachleirin, that this world should become a place which should be, godliness should be revealed within every single creature of this world. And that's the purpose why Hashem created the world, and that's going to be fulfilled when Mashiach comes. And the whole Aved Aviyid, the whole fulfilling of Torah and Mitzvahs is all to come to this end result, that this world should be a place which should be, godliness, the Likud, should be fully revealed within this reality. And that's the Alter Rebbe says in the Tanya. We have the same thing that the Rambam says in the end of Sefer Hayat. The Rambam brings the end of his halachas, is that when Mashiach is going to come, it's going to be vivid in every single creature, that it's all created for the sake of bringing out Hashem's glory, Hashem's greatness. The Pasuk says that Hashem's glory is going to be revealed within every single aspect of creation. The Rebbe says in Tanya, the purpose of doing a mitzvah, every mitzvah that we do, every Torah that we learn, is all for the sake of bringing that this world should be a place which godliness should be revealed in this world. That's what it says in. So you have on one hand, that's the way when you learn in Torah and in Chassidus, the way it explains what's the journey and what's the purpose of creation, and then there is a Yid looks, the way we live, the way a person experiences life, and he looks at the world the way he looks at it. The way a person might look at the world and might doesn't see how doing mitzvahs is making the world a more refined place and bringing godliness more, making the world more of a vessel towards godliness. The way we look at things, we don't see the way the Alter Rebbe describes what the purpose of creation is and how the journey is working. When we look at this world at our own personal vantage, the way we see things, where the Rebbe's lashon is with our fleshig, with our physical eyes, the way we see it is a world that's functioning, and sometimes there's this power is victorious. Sometimes different powers are victorious. We don't see this type of journey and this type of track. The way Chassidus explains where the world is going and where we're holding in this world, we don't necessarily see it when we observe creation from our point of view. That's so that's the Eibush created the world. His initial thought was, his initial plan. That doesn't only mean that it was an initial plan and then he changed his mind. That was when you look at the creation, you look at the world in its first glance, it seems to be contradictory to what we learn in Chassidus, or we learn in Torah, what the world is, what the world really is, and where the world is really heading. The initial reaction, the initial attitude is Midas Adin. The world appears itself to be and gives us an impression opposite of what the way Torah explains to us where the world is heading, where the world is going. That's B'tchila. B'tchila doesn't just mean he thought one way and then he decided something else and then we forget about the way it was to begin with. It's not an idea of time. B'tchila means to begin with, the initial impression that the world gives to a person is that there's a world that runs, that if you're the people with more power are more effective and they're the ones dominant and they're the ones that are in control. And someone that's just doing, someone that doesn't have power, someone that's just doing a mitzvah, and someone that's just sitting in his house and putting a penny in the pushka, you don't see it with our physical eyes. We don't see that it's having an imprint, it's having an effect, it's having some historical change on the trajectory and the way the world, and bringing the world closer to making it a vessel, to making it a keli, that God should be revealed in this world. The way we look at it is, from our point of view, is that who is able to make an imprint, who's able to make a change on the way the world works, who's able to have an effect on society. People with power and people with this ability and that ability, or this power and that power, they're able to make an effect, they're able to make an imprint on the world. But a yid, which doesn't have any major peiches, doesn't have any major power, doesn't have any major control, he's not a big macher, but the fact that he puts on tefillin in the morning, or the fact that he wakes up a little bit earlier to be on time for a minyan, or to say krishma on time, or to put a little penny in the pushka, in the initial sense that we have is, the first impression is that this is not something just making an imprint, which is bringing the world closer, making the world more of a vessel to God, and it's bringing the world closer to its ultimate goal. That's one thing. A person also doesn't necessarily sit with us naturally, that the Eibush created the whole world with all the Umasailam and whatever is going on in this world for the sake of making this world a place of Direh V'Tachtainim. Sometimes the initial impression that the world gives to a person is opposite than the way Torah and Mitzvahs, the way Chassidus looks at what the world is and where the world is heading. Same thing when it comes to when it comes in relation to a deed that a person does, in relation to a person's behavior, that our impression of the way we evaluate things is the initial evaluation is opposite and not in sync with the way Torah evaluates things that we do. We're putting on tefillin, we're saying Krishma time, davening with a little bit more intention, because every Yod Inish Benafshi is the expression of Chassidus. A person could make to think about it on his own, that there's the way Chassidus explains, the way Torah explains the value of a mitzvah, the value of the purpose of the world, and there's the way we personally experience where the world is heading, the way we personally feel about an act and a good deed that we do. That's the initial way the world is created is that it's not in sync with Hashem's vision, so to speak, with the true reality of what the world really is. Then the Eibush saw that world, if the Eibush can create the world only with the way with this Midas Adin, so the world people are not going to. You could convince yourself one day, you can marry yourself one day, marry yourself another day, and you could try to inspire yourself that even though I'm putting this little penny in the pushka, and even though it seems to me that it's a small, minute, little act, it really has an effect, and all the little things that we do could accumulate. But that's a person could tell himself these things, they could explain himself these things. But Rosh, the Eibush saw that that's not. There's not in long term. A person can't continue with a chayis, with life and with passion to fulfill doing what the Eibush wants, just with convincing himself that this is his initial natural understanding, his initial natural instinct is that people with big power and people with different qualities, they're able to affect and they're able to have an imprint on the world. The fact of him putting on tefillin with a little bit more intention is something which is vital for the Eibush, and it's vital for the world to come to its purpose, to its ultimate goal. Is something which we don't see it, we don't sense it, we don't feel it in that way. We could believe in it, and we could inspire ourselves, tell ourselves that it's important. That's Rosh, it's not going to work that way. In order for a person to have a chayes, that I spoke many times, it's not enough. You have, say a marshal, you're going to send two nations fighting. You're going to send the soldier on the front, and the soldier is going to feel that he has no way of winning this war. The other side is much stronger than this side. The opponent are much stronger than the side that he's fighting for. But since he's a citizen he's a soldier of that country, so he has no choice. He has to shoot. If the soldier is not going to go with the conviction, with the passion that he's able to be victorious, that he's stronger, and the purpose that he's fighting for is stronger, and he has the ability to win, so it's not going to work. The Alter Rebbe says the same thing in Tanya, in Perek Chavav, and the Alter Rebbe speaks about the importance of a person always being besimcha, and never being worried, and never being down. The Alter Rebbe person can have all the abilities in the world. The Alter Rebbe brings this mashal, shtei anashim which are nechamim zalzeh, two people which are fighting each other. You can have one which has more power, is able to overpower the other one, but he's not interested in winning this war. Or even if he's interested, he doesn't believe that he's able to win. He thinks that maybe the other one is stronger. He's not confident with the power that he has. Even though he has more power, the other one is going to win. The one with more confidence, the one with more conviction, the one with more certainty that his purpose is important and he has the ability to fulfill his mission, that one is going to be successful. That he's going to be the one that's going to win, not the one that has more power. The Alter says, why is it so important for a yid to have simcha and Beis Hashem? Why? The Eibush is a Shulchan Aruch. You have to put on tefillin every day at a certain time and say Krishma. You have to do the whole. Why is it important that a yid should serve Hashem with simcha, with he should be optimistic. He should feel that he should be confident that he has the ability to win over his yetzer, and he has the power to win over his yetzer. Why does it make a difference to us what his attitude towards his yetzer is? A person might. What do we mind if a person thinks that his yetzer hara is stronger than him? He has no way of over battling his yetzer hara. But the Eibush told him that he has to put on tefillin every day. So he puts on tefillin. Why does he have to feel confident that he's able to every time he puts on tefillin that he's giving a deadly slap to the yetzer hara? Why does he have to feel that? The Alter says if you're not going to feel that, if you're not going to have the confidence that you're stronger than him, and that your purpose is the mission is that a person should make himself, that he should be he should be a keli for good, a keli for alakus. If he doesn't have the confidence, he has the ability to do it, and the importance of the mission, and the fact that the mission is able to be fulfilled, and that he has the ability to do it, he's not going to win. It's not enough that you have the power to do it. You have to have the confidence. You have to have the oomph and the certainty that you have the power. Then you're able to overwin the others. That's what it says in the beginning of Perek Chavav, chapter 26 in Tanya. That if a person has any sense that maybe the Yitzhak Nefesh Bahamas, his heart is stronger than him, he's not going to be able to overpower the Yitzhak heart. But the same thing is when it comes, that's in a person in his own personal battles that a person has to go through. But the same thing you speak about in general, when you speak about the outlook of how we evaluate where the world is holding. As a Yid now are quite a couple of years in Golus. So we learn in Chassidus that the purpose of being a Golus is, the whole purpose why the Eibush sent the Yid in Golus is for the sake of Shitteis Falei and Geiden, in order to purify and to elevate each aspect of this world. That's what's explained. And we're holding by Ikvas of the Mashiach, and we're finishing the last bits and pieces, and the world is already in a state that it's ready to receive the revelation of Mashiach, the goal of Lasad Lavi. But that's the way the Chassidus explains where the world is holding. But what do we feel when we're doing our Beis Hashem? A person's natural, the initial sense, the initial sense is that the world is the world functions the way it functions, and the Lashon says in Gemara, Derech Hashem Slacha, the one with power, he's the one that has an effect, that he's the one that has an imprint, and the little Eidle Yid sitting in his corner doing a mitzvah and putting on tefillin, we don't see the major effect and the major thing that he's accomplishing with it. This is the Eibush created the world. All of Hashem means that the initial way Hashem created the world is in a form that it doesn't suit the way Torah Mitzvahs views and the true reality of what the world is. That's Eilim Lashon Helam V'Hester. So that's Rosh and Eilim Eskayim. What is Eilim Eskayim? Means if a person is not going to feel the confidence, not going to feel the certainty, you can't just do it based on, you say, Kabbalas El, you say the language of this. You're just going to do a mitzvah, you're just going to do the Miftzayim or the Rebbe's work just because the Rebbe said to do it. You don't, if someone's going to make a cheshbon that that you're in Florida, any place that a person is, that the majority of Yidden, the majority of someone's going to shliach and go to our campus. The majority of Jewish students are. He's going to. So what's the point of him doing 5 and the couple of students that he's meeting? He's not making a real full-fledged and internal imprint and an internal change in the whole city. He's affecting a small percent, and the majority. Majority is an idea of the rave is not having an effect on. So the Kabbalah said, even though he doesn't understand that what he's doing is actually transforming things, and is actually having an effect, and is actually making the world closer to its ultimate redemption. He's actually fighting the lumaza, and he's canceling, he's being vatal halav. Person might feel like he's not canceling anything, but if the Rebbe told us to do it, we're doing it. This is what we have to do. We're going to do it anyway. Without midas harachim, without a person vividly seeing the value of every act that he's doing and feeling internally a certainty and the confidence and the takeif of kedusha, there's no way that this type of doing a mitzvah and doing the just mitzvah, just with the reality of midas hadin, it's not going to work with that. So what did the Eibusher do? Shidde by midas harachim. So the Eibusher said, the Alter text is, what is midas harachim? That's his galus elokus, that it's tzadikim v'aisis and meifsin shebetayra. That the Eibusher made the world in a way that there is different aspects of creation, where there is his galus elokus, there's a revelation of godliness. How is it manifested? This revelation of godliness. This is galus elokus, which without it, eina elam eskayim. The physical world could continue, but the purpose of why the world is created, and for the sake of the purpose being fulfilled, so shiddat midas harachim, which is where is this galus elokus manifested in? So Alter Rebbe says, "I did tzadikim v'eisus and meifsin shebetayra." The first thing is Alter Rebbe brings tzadikim. So the Rebbe brings many times that one of the digmais, one of the examples, just to bring out this point, that you see what his galus elokus I did tzadikim. See what the Friedrich Rebbe, see what the Beis Tammuz. So simply we're talking about there was a Zman that there was in Russia, there was Gzeirus and Yiddishkeit, and there was a massive, strong, powerful opposition to lead a regular Yiddish life in Russia in those days. When the Friedrich Rebbe was freed, Beis Tammuz Tafesh Pezayin, 1927, the Friedrich Rebbe was freed from prison and then freed from Golos, and they released him. But it's not this Yiddish Tammuz, the freedom then. At the end of the day, there were still the hardships to keep Chadarim open, the hardships to learn Torah with Yidden still continued. And there were still the years after, 10 years after, there were still Chassidim that were exiled and they were imprisoned and they were killed. The tzaras continued. It's not that once the Friedrich Rebbe was redeemed, so the Iron Curtain fell and it became, you were able to fulfill and to spread Yiddishkeit and to teach Torah and to have schools and kinder and Chadara and everything with the whole Ispashtus. Even after Yiddish Tammuz, the Gzeirus continued. The reality is that the Chassidim in Russia derived their whole Kayach and their whole Chayas that continue came from Yiddish Tammuz. The fact that the Friedrich Rebbe was able to overpower the Russian Kayach, that gave Chassidim, that gave them the certainty, that gave them the confidence that Kedusha is stronger than Klippa. Even though they were still living in a situation, they were still living in a circumstance where they were being sent, their friends were being sent to jail, their friends were being murdered, they themselves were going through Schwierigkeiten which we can't even imagine. But the certainty they had, it wasn't just a certainty they were explaining themselves. They saw the Friedrich Rebbe, which was the pillar behind everything, the life behind everything, and he managed to pull through. And the Klippa wasn't able to be mizgah, wasn't able to overpower them. So the idea that Kedusha is stronger than Klippa, at the end of the day, Kedusha is the one that's going to be victorious, and Kedusha is going to one that's going to penetrate. That was revealed by this story of Beis Tammuz. It didn't play itself out in a full way. It wasn't this idea that Kedusha is stronger than Klippa, that the Kayach of Torah and Mitzvahs, nothing could fight against that Kayach, and nothing could stand in front of it, and it's going to penetrate anything. It didn't play itself out fully. Right after the redemption of the Friedrich Rebbe, there was still Gzeirus, and there was still Helamas Vesteirim, and there was still Chassidim that were exiled. But the confidence they got from that Geula of Yud Beis Tammuz, that's something that is negeh for us to remember. That's in general. You know, Chassidus explains to us that the state where we're holding now, the massive where Yidden, where the history of the world is holding is, that we're holding in a state where the Rebbe said we're holding already in a state which is close to this man that the ultimate goal of why the Rebbe created the world is going to be fulfilled. We might look at the world and see it that it's not. We don't see it that way necessarily. In the same vein, when they were in Russia then. Even after the Fidik was the worst and the toughest time the Chassidim had were after the Fidik was released from prison. That was we don't even have you can't even imagine the type of the murders that happened and the arrest. There's the many stories that we do know of, but it's the worst times, the harshest times the Chassidim went through were after the Fidik Rebbe's story of Beis Tammuz. But still, the Chassidim had the certainty, they had the clarity, and they felt the strength that the point that Kedusha is stronger than Klippa, at the end of the day, Kedusha is going to prevail. They didn't only, it says in Chassidus like that, they felt it, they saw it physically, they saw that the Rebbe, which is the life behind everything, was victorious. The fact that the Rebbe was victorious, they were sure that at the end of the day, the Kedusha is going to overpower Klippa fully. And Chassidim are going to be able to be like Chassidim in public. First, the Rebbe penetrated the darkness. And then until it played itself out that it penetrated the darkness in the sense that the Iron Curtain generally took a couple of years. But the certainty we have to have even before the Iron Curtain falls, the certainty and the confidence and the faith and the trust and the power of Kedusha, the power of a mitzvah that we have to have even before the Hell of Asher's battle. And the same thing is the Irad we have to take from Yud Beis Tammuz. The highest we take from Yud Beis Tammuz is that regardless of how much a person is, the way the world, the way he sees, the impression that he has on the darkness of his own whatever a person goes through in his own life, or the way he views the world, we have to know that Kedusha is stronger than Klippa, and that at the end of the day, this redemption, the fact that the Rebbe was able to penetrate and be able to overpower this darkness, that's the sign that whatever's going to happen in continuation after that is just playing itself out. It's from the Iker, from the Shaidish, from the Nasi, it's going to play itself out to the Anafim, to the offspring, the Chaim, L'chaim.
Bye. Come a little closer, please. Amen. For something. Okay. Just want to say l'chaim for chaim bracha for Baruch Shnir Zalman, Ben Ilana, Chana Bas Tamar, and Refu Shlema, to Menachem Mendel, Bas Chana, and Baruch Shmuel, Ben Chana, and Nasan Yitzchak Ben Brindel, and Ilana Bas Mazel. Just a session to bring in Uftam in the Machal Lane in Uftam, so everybody should. Okay.
That brings the service in the get to Yitas Kislev, and the same thing is in the get to Beis Tammuz, because there's different different ways the Rebbe explains, but the point is that the Frierdiker Rebbe is Geula. His gabrus of Kedusha over Klippa that happened then wasn't stam as that's a part of the Gilei of the Achanav to the same the Baal Shem Tov in general. The whole Gilei Achsidus was already there was a famous mashal that's brought it's brought from the Talmidei Baal Shem Tov. They have a mashal that's brought that you have someone that's traveling from one shtetl to another city, someone that's going on a journey from one shtetl to another shtetl. So in the olden times they worked this and where people lived in the cities in the shtetlach, so there was still light. There was lights. There was able to see what's going on in the city. But on the roads, on the highways, there was no lights in the highways. People didn't travel by night through the forest. So in the night, there was in the journey, in the way is dark. In the villages, in the shtetl itself, there was lights at night to bring light to the city. You see, if someone's traveling from one city to another city, from one village, so in the beginning, when he starts traveling out of the city, out of the village, there's still light that he has, not from the journey itself, from the light from the city where he left from is still there's still light that emanates from the beginning of the journey. The more he goes further away from the village that he left, the light gets dimmer and dimmer, gets darker and darker. Then he goes more into the journey, it gets darker and darker. Then it gets he gets to such a distance from the original village that the light that came from the original village is not seen anymore. But then the more he travels, after a while he starts seeing a new point of light. And the more he gets closer, the more he gets more into the journey. There's more light and more light. So that light is not the light that comes from the city, the village that he left from. That's a light that's coming from the village, from his destination, from the village that he's coming to. They say a mashal that you had was Matan Torah, the main part of Torah that was revealed when the Eibush gave the Torah to be given to Matan by Har Sinai was Nigla Deraisa, the revealed part of Torah. And that, the ultimate revelation, the highest level of revelation was Matan Torah by Har Sinai, Moshe Rabbeinu. He learned to use Abraham, Moshe Rabbeinu was in the mountain for 40 days, 40 nights, and the Eibush himself taught him the entire Torah Shabbat Peh, Nigla Deraisa. And he gave it over from one generation, he gave it over to Yeshua Yeshua Liskenim, Skelim Nevi'im, Asher Sagdela. But it was all a system of the more the generations passed, the less degree of Gilei Lukus, of revelation of the source of the Torah, of the Neisna Torah, of the godliness that was Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah. The Eibusher himself was the one. Moshe Gibel Torah Sinai. The Eibusher himself taught him the Torah. So he revealed that he received the Torah in the highest form possible. The more the generations get further and further away from Matan Torah, from Har Sinai, so the Kedushas Torah, or the godliness which is from the source of Torah, the Neisna Torah, is less and less revealed. And that's the reason first. So even before the times of the Tanaim, but now that I argue Moshe Rabbeinu, because Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah from the Eibusher directly, and later generations now that I argue with Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu heard from Hashem. There's no dispute, and the part of the Yud Gimmel Ikrim, part of the 13 Ikrei Amunah is that Moshe Rabbeinu was the Mivchar Mina Anushi. He's the highest and the most perfect level that a human being is able to get to. He had the highest level of union of being a receiver from the Eibusher himself, from Hashem himself. The more that the generations continue, the more that level of being a Mekal, being a recipient from the Eibusher himself, from Hashem himself, is less and less. The degree that Moshe Rabbeinu, the way he was a Mekabel, the way he was a recipient, the way he was a student from the Eibusher himself, was on a much higher degree than the later generations. That's why the Tanaim and all that argue on the generations earlier, and the Rishonim can argue on the Tanaim, and the Achreinim can argue on the Rishonim, because the way the system, the way the revelation of Torah works, that the more further you are from the source, so the more less in touch you are with the source. So the lesser level and the lesser accurate you are to the source, and therefore the later generation can argue the earlier generations. That was all when it came to the revealed part of Torah. Then there is the primus of Torah, the hidden, say the Galas of Torah, which is the soul of Torah, and how every halacha brings out the connection of a Yid's neshama with the Eibusher, the inner secrets of the Torah. That the type of revelation of primus of Torah is in an opposite direction. It started revealing itself in a little, say, trickly, some drops started to trickle from the times of the Reb Shimon and the times of the Tanaim, and the more generations continued, the more the revelation of primus, the secrets of the Torah started to reveal itself more and more. You had in the later generations, the Ramak and the Arizal. The later the generations go, the deeper and the higher the revelations are. So you have the Ramak, which is one of the Gdele of the Kabbalah, and the Arizal, which was a student, but the Allah is like the Arizal. The Arizal had deeper revelations of the secrets that was revealed to the Arizal that the Ramak didn't experience. And the same with the Baal Shem Tov, the Arizal is even more. So it's explained why is that because the revelation of Primus Torah, it says when you get to the pasuk says when you get to La'asad Lavi Yishakenim and the Shikas Piu, Mashiach is going to come. So then is going to be revealed the secrets of the Torah. That's what Rashi says. Time of Torah, the secrets of Torah is going to be revealed when Mashiach is going to come. So as a taste of the revelation of the world to come, that started since we're coming closer to the journey, we're coming closer to the Zman of La'asad Lavi. So the more and more the light of which is from our destination starting to shine in this time. But the light of Nigla Daraisa, that's a light that the revelation of this light was about Matan Torah by Har Sinai, and that was when this revelation was in its most tense and most highest form. And the more the generations go further, we're bringing it down more in practicality, bringing it down more where it's being realized in a stronger way in the world. But the intensity of the receiving this revelation was much more to begin with. When Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah by Har Sinai. Hashem the Gidev La'asad Lavi, the Ikra is going to be revealed when Mashiach is going to come. That's when Hashem's going to reveal Himself, His own, His inner self. That's His primus, the hidden part of Himself that wasn't shared with us yet. Mainly, it's going to be revealed La'asad Lavi. That's when there's going to be the relation of this word in Tanakh, but this explains at length that Bisman Hazeh is considered we're like engaged, we're like Mukudeshes, we're learning now in Rambam. We're like there's two stages of marriage. There's one stage is Kiddushin, where the Ish is Mekadesh, the Isha is kind of the Isha, I say he's kind of the Isha, but they're still not living together. Then there's the Nisuin, where they become one. There's a unity. There's a connection, then there's unity. So the unity between Yidden and the Eibusher is going to be when Mashiach is going to come. That's when the Eibusher is going to reveal himself, his primus, his inner self, the hidden parts of himself, so to speak. and the hidden secrets of the Torah. As a taste of that, as the light that we're receiving, the light that previous Torah, that's a light that's emanating, that's shining. That's a taste of because we're coming closer to the future. Therefore, the more the generations go further and further, the deeper and the higher the revelations of previous Torah is. The more the Alter Rebbe revealed in previous Torah, much more than the Baal Shem Tov was higher than the Arizal. The Alter Rebbe revealed even deeper things that the Baal Shem Tov didn't reveal. The more the generations get closer to Lasad Lavi, the more and the deeper the revelations are. Why? Because this air of previous Torah is not an air which stems from the air which was revealed in Ma'amad Har Sinai. It was given hiddenly in Ma'amad Har Sinai. But this is an air. This is a revelation which is the time where this revelation is going to be revealed is going to be Lasad Lavi. Now we're getting a taste. It's starting to shine from the Gilead of Lasad Lavi. So the Rebbe brings that this is the Chalad of Baal Shem Tov and the whole the Meifsim of Baal Shem Tov. It's not regular Meifsim. The Gemara also says different stories of the Ruach HaKodesh and of Meifsim. That's Meifsim that are a result of the Gilead of Matan Torah, of the revelation of godliness that was by when Moshe gave Torah Sinai. But the Nisim and the Neflois, which the Baal Shem Tov did, the Arizal, the Ramak and the Baal Shem, that's already a different type of miracle. That's a miracle which are already a taste of what's going to be, the new world that's going to be when Mashiach is going to come. So you have to remember just this. The Rebbe is that the Gola Vitas Kislev Vitas Tammuz. It's not just a regular. Okay, the Friedrich was the Russian government there, and they would try to stop the Friedrich from spreading Yiddishkeit. There was a miracle. There was many miracles that happened in history of Klal Yisrael. There's another miracle. This is a different type of miracle. It's a miracle the style of miracle is from a taste of the way the world is going to come. The type of miracle, the way the Friedrich Rebbe went, overpowered the power of the opposition that he encountered was a taste of the way the world is going to be when Mashiach is going to come. The Rebbe explained it in many different ways. Where you see in the Geula of Yiddish Tammuz, where you see in the redemption of Yiddish Tammuz, that it's a taste. It's really from the world to come type of miracle. It's not a godless type of miracle. Different type of miracle. Many different ways. I'm just saying the idea is that what we have to know is that we're going forward always. We're going forward towards the Zman of Lasad Lavi. The world is not going backwards. We're going forward closer to the Zman where there's going to be the Rambam describes what the way the world is going to be, the way the world is going to function, Mashiach is going to come. We're going closer towards that world. And every moment and we don't necessarily sense it. So we see the Friedrich Rebbe, there was a Golus. Maybe the Alter Rebbe's times was better. There wasn't opposition against Yiddishkeit. They're saying that every step, the Pnimius was a closer step to the Gilead of Lasad Lavi. And the type of miracle that the Friedrich that happened then, the type of strength the Friedrich Rebbe brought out then, that was really a step. It's all steps closer. Saying the idea, the awareness that every stage that we're living in, every stage that we're in, it's all points that we're getting closer to this man of Lasad Lavi, l'chaim. said before that so we speak about the purpose of the revelation of Chassidus. So there shows that there's two reasons. What's the importance of why that, specifically in the generations, in the era that we're living in, why were these Chassidus was revealed, and the previous of Torah was revealed? Why is that? Why specifically in our times is these Sinigadele Kitvis Tammuz, a special miracle that happened on this day, a special revelation of godliness which was never revealed before? So why specifically in our times is it important to have a new Yom Tov, a new holiday, Kitvis Tammuz, Farbrengen? Why is it important in these days? So it's the same question when you speak about generally the revelation of Chassidus in our times. That's there's many generations of Yidden which they had the Gemara and they did what it says in Shulchan Aruch, and Primus Torah wasn't a part of this. It's not something that they learned in a steady way. A few Yidden, Yechidus Gola, which they learned Primus Torah and Kabbalah, but the average Yid, he learned there's a mitzvah, you have Talmud Torah, you have Shulchan Aruch, what a person is obligated to do, and they learned Gemara and they did mitzvahs, and that's it. It wasn't like. Why is it important, Dafka, in this day and age, for a Yid to have a kfiyas and the fact that Chassidus was revealed specifically in our times? So there's two explanations for it. One explanation is because the darkness is deeper, and in order to overcome the chayshach, the darkness that there is in this time, is only through the light of Primus Torah. And the same thing is we're speaking about the Benegeti this Tammuz, that on the one aspect that why it's important to celebrate and to think about and to connect with the chayes and the kayach that was revealed through the Friedrich Rebbe's Mesiras Nefesh is because today, in order to overcome the chayshach, what a person has to overcome, you need the kayach of Beis Tammuz. That means there's one type of darkness, or one type of hell of a hester, one type of concealment, one type of misayin that a person is able to manage even with you don't need this Tammuz. They say just to bring a simple example. You have a meichel, any food, you have a piece of bread on the table. So there's one way to look at the piece of bread, that it's there in order for the sake of pleasure, for the sake of enjoyment. Another way to look at this piece of bread is that it's for the sake of giving a person energy to be able to serve Hashem. So in order to convince a person, to explain a person, that when he sits down to eat a piece of bread, it should eat it l'shem shemayim for the sake of having kayach, for the sake of having energy to serve Hashem, he doesn't need to mali b'tamadas for that. Doesn't need to be tamas for that. He's able to understand what's the major purpose. The Eibush created the world in order for a person to enjoy himself. That he created bread just for the sake of feeling enjoyable sensation in your mouth. That's not. It's understood. You can explain. A person could be. He could understand clearly that the main purpose of the piece of bread is that there's certain nutrients in the bread that gives a person power and ability to be able to strengthen his mind, it strengthens his heart, to be able to do what he's supposed to do. So there are certain things that a person, in order for him to live his life and to function according to the Eibush wants in the right way, he doesn't need to bring out within himself a certain element of himself that the Eibush is beyond reason. That it's something which is he's able to understand. According to the way Torah explains it in a way that you understand that the purpose of why this and this thing was created is for the sake of serving Hashem, and it makes more sense that way. So for that, you don't need to have the light of Primus Torah in order for a Yid to be aware of these type of things. then there's a certain type of chaysh, certain type of darkness. The only way for a yid to overpower this darkness is if he connects himself with the pneumius of the Eibishter, with the pneumius of Torah. So what's the basic difference? So I don't know what time it is, but we're saying a little bit B'Yurim and Torah. What time is it? It's before Chatzos. We're holding before Chatzos.
Like 10:30 or something.
Oh, we can read the Masot, huh?
11:30.
Before Chatzos. So there's one. When you speak about the pneumius of Torah, the pneumius of the Eibishter, you have just to bring it out in simple words, you have the way we see things. The Eibishter created the world. There's a world, and the world has meaning and has value. And on one hand, the fact that you say the marshal means when you get in relation to a person, that you have the external part of a person's self, you have his inner self. The external part of a person's self, a person could care about many, many different things. People care about their business that they made. People can care about different things. Then there is what's precious to you from your inner self. A person's love or the way he's connected to his children. That's a totally different type of connection than he has towards the things that he made or external things of himself. So you have the external aspect of a person, where there is the way he relates and the way he gets pleasure or he derives benefit out of doing things outside of him. And then you have the person's inner self, what's his personal, what's his inner passion. So you have another course, you have the so to speak, the external part of the Eibishter, where there he invests himself in creating a world, and it's important to him to bring out the fact that he's able to create and he's able to run a world. There's a certain that's in Nigla Deraisa. Nigla Deraisa you have in that part of Torah, where there the world is a reality and it has meaning and has value, and the Eibishter, so to speak, gives value, gives credence to the world that he created, because by creating this world, it brings out the fact that he's Kel Yachol, that he's able to create and he's able to do things, etc. But what's precious to the Eibishter himself? You say Yid is Banam Atam Shalom Lekechem. What's the Eibishter's inner self? What's precious to him? What's his inner passion about? That's a whole different type of element. You have the Eibishter's Pnimius. That's a different idea. So you have the way Chassidus explains that from the lower levels of Elokus, where the Eibishter creates a world and he gives value to reality outside of it. You have from the viewpoint of the Eibishter himself, where there it's the Eibishter himself is Ein Sof, is higher than any limitations. He's infinite. He's Ein Sof, and there's no space for any reality outside of the Eibishter himself. The fact that he could give credence and value to a world, that's because the Eibishter limits himself, constrains his ultimate self, and he gives space to reality outside of him. From the point of view of the Eibishter's Pnimius of him himself, from the Eibishter's Etzem, from the point of the Eibishter's Pnimius itself, there's no space for reality outside of him. And from that aspect, the only reality that exists is just the Eibishter himself. So what I'm saying is, I'm not going to be Yurim Chassidus, just trying to bring at the point that you had Zmanim, you had times, that in order for a Yid to be able to deal with the world outside of him, to be able to live a life the way a Yid is supposed to live, he didn't have to be in touch with the pnimius, with the deeper energy of the Eibishter, with the pnimius of Elokus, the fact that the Eibishter is infinite, is Ein Sof, and there's no space for any reality outside of the Eibishter. He didn't have to be in touch with that aspect. There's an Eibishter, the Eibishter created the world is a reality, and there's a creator of the world, and even with that notion itself, you're able to function, to be able to fulfill the Eibishter's mission the way it's supposed to be. You don't have to be connected, you have to be attached with the pnimius of the Eibishter, which doesn't give space to reality outside of it. But you have in later generations, especially in our generations, where on one hand the cheshech is much darker, the hell of Hester is much darker, and the only way to overcome this cheshech is by Yid connecting himself with this aspect where the Eibishter is infinite. He's not limited to any rules. If we're going to go according to our reason, according to understanding the way the Eibishter works, we won't be able to see how Kedusha is stronger than Klippa. In Zmanim earlier, you're able to understand that Kedusha is a higher power over Klippa. You didn't need to come to the notion that the Eibishter is beyond rules. The Eibusher ain't safe. He's beyond rules. Even understanding, even by understanding of the course according to a certain measure, you're able to understand that Kedusha is stronger than Klippa. You didn't need to have the revelation of Primus Atayra. Where there, it's explained that the Eibusher ain't safe, and the fact that, and therefore Kula can make a lachshiv, and the Eibusher defies rules and defies logic. Even according to logic, you understand that Kedusha has a power over Klippa. In later generations, because the Keches of Klippa became stronger, the darkness is stronger. So therefore, in order to overcome this darkness, is only with the awareness, only being attached with the fact that the Eibusher ain't safe. And inside the Eibusher's Primius, there is no space for any reality outside of it. He's beyond reason, beyond logic. Without being connected with that point, you'll be affected by the Cheshach of Elam Hazeh. This I'm saying. One of the basic explanations that's brought to the Rebbe is why was the Gidei Chassidus in later generations. So one beer is Achana to Lasad Love. That's already a second explanation. The first thing is because in order to overcome the darkness today, it's not enough with the regular standard understanding of the power of Elokus, the way it was understood before the Gidei Chassidus, before the Gidei of the Baal Shem Tov. The regular standard of the Eibusher is the source of creation. He's the author of creation. He's the creator. The fact that the Creator is not going to give you the ability not to be affected by the intensity by the Hester Elam Hazeh, the way it is today. There's different aspects, different ways of explaining it, but just if we want to relate a little bit to what I was saying before, if we want to relate it generally to where we're holding is the fact that a Yid is able to live today and to feel that the world is that we're holding, that the Rebbe said we're holding mamish by the Zman that's close to Lasad Love, in order for it to actually not stam, we could say but to actually feel that the world is getting closer and closer to its ultimate goal, and to be margish that we're standing by the Rebbe's lashon, the last seconds of Golus. So the way we experience reality, it's opposite that. It doesn't seem to be that way. The only way for a Yid to be connected to this type of and to be aware of it is by being connected to the Elokus, the way it's revealed in Chassidus, the way it's revealed in Primus Atayra, and that only by being connected with the Elokus, the way it's revealed in Chassidus, can give a person the certainty and the clarity that the fact that there's Cheshach and Elam Hazeh is only for the sake of bringing out the Kayach of a Yid, and only for the sake of it's bringing us closer to Lasad Love. Without the Elokus, the way it's explained in Chassidus, the way it's explained in the Chassidus that was disgaled in our generations, there's no way for a Yid to overcome the darkness the way we experience it today. I'm saying the way it is ideally, the way I'm saying. This is everybody has to think to himself what type of as a state. What I'm saying, a state, in order to overcome the darkness today, that you have to come to the area of Primus Atayra, and just by accepting the Elokus, understanding the Elokus the way we understood it without Primus Atayra, that we wouldn't be able to overcome the L'chaim.
I wanted to say that we said we're tasting, we're Tayamah Chaim Zachu, we're tasting of the Geulah. I told someone before, enough tasting. We want to have the meal ready. We're tasting and tasting. It's always a taste and a taste. Enough tasting.
I don't know. Yeah, no.
It's a good question.
I don't know what to explain what the answer basically, but I speak sometimes that the Geula of Yid Tammuz was in a very gradual way. Because first he was in prison, and then Shchedesh Tammuz he was sent to go. That brings the whole story at length. We mentioned the story, but when the Shchedesh Tammuz was still in prison, so they came to tell him, the couple of guards, 3 or 4 guards came to 11 o'clock in the morning, 11:30. They came to tell the Frierdiker Rebbe. They came to tell him something. What the Seder in the prison was, and or that when the officers give a message to an Asir, he has to stand up. The Frierdiker Rebbe was machlet. He made a decision when he came into prison that he's not being machshel. He's not going to give them any value at all. He's going to consider them like they're ayin. Frierdiker Rebbe's lashon is that he's going to consider them as if they're ayin, as if they don't exist, non-existent. They didn't speak their language, and he didn't pay any regard to any of the orders and any of the regulations and anything. So they came to tell him. They told him to stand up. He ignored them. And then one of the guards that came to him to tell him to stand up was a Yid. So the first time they came to him, they gave him, they hid him. So, I think one of the guards spoke Yiddish. I don't know the problem is that the Frierdiker Rebbe said that I'm not going to get up or something. So one of the guards said, if you're not going to get up, we're going to hit you. One of the guards understood Yiddish, said, if you're not going to get up, we're going to hit you. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, no. So they hit him, they left, and then the second time they came, so one of the guards that came was Lulav. He told the Frierdiker Rebbe, they want to tell you a kula. They want to tell you that they're going to be more lenient to you. They want to make it easier for you. So why don't you just stand up, and you'll give you the order that it's easier for you, and we're getting invited. Frierdiker Rebbe didn't ignore them, and said, if you're not going to stand, they're going to hit you. So fine, and they hit him and attack him. The third time is a name of exactly which officer came, a guy Kavalov, and he told the Frierdiker Rebbe that also told him to get up. The Frierdiker Rebbe ignored him, and he gave the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Frierdiker Rebbe says he went into Tzitcha, such a rage, such an anger. He told the Frierdiker Rebbe that we're going to show you. The Frierdiker Rebbe told him, "Sevensach ver vemen." He said, we're going to teach you a lesson. He says, the question is, who's going to teach you a lesson? The Pele gave him also a very hard Steigerschlagen that Frierdiker Rebbe felt the pain for a long time after. The Frierdiker Rebbe says that he felt the pain for a while after. And fine, the Pele, so they didn't tell him they didn't notify him anything while he was in his cell, because they didn't know why he didn't agree to stand up. So they told him after a while to come to the office. He should come to one of the offices there. And when he went to the office, then they notified him that he's being freed from prison. When he came to the office, he really gave a notice on the table. He saw the whole the write-up of his sentence. So there he said, if he would have stand up when he was in the cell, he would have never known these details of the story. But since Frierdiker Rebbe refused to stand up, so he went to the office and they notified him there. When he's standing across the desk of the officer that's telling him his psak, so he saw the papers of his arrest and the whole thing. So there he saw that the psak was that they should be done in L'Hepech HaChaim, and then it was crossed out, and then it was 10 years in Golus in Kastamah, then it was that also 10 years also crossed out, and then it was 3 years. And that 3 years only ended up being 10, 11 days. A couple of days. But he saw the crossed out Nidulam Mavis, he saw it being crossed out. Then he saw 10 years crossed out, and then it was 3 years. The Pearl, he was in Golus, and then so the Shad is why was the Gola had to be in such a gradual way? Why couldn't it? Anyway, it was a miraculous victory. It was a miraculous savior. So why couldn't it just be in one shot? Maybe it should just be freed. Maybe the whole Yiddishkeit in Russia should be, the whole curtain should have fell then. Because anyway, the fact that Abisha saved him. was beyond the rules of nature, and the Eibush is not limited. If he wants to save a Yid, regardless of how the world is according to the rules of nature, they're the ones in power. The Eibush is not limited in the rules of nature. So if anyway it was a miracle, why did it have to be this whole gradual thing? You should be in prison for a couple of weeks, and then there should be a decree of death, and then 10 days and 2 weeks. And why did it have to be this whole Seder? Could have been just to begin with. It could have been. So the Rebbe said the same thing at the Shalom. In Gimmel Tammuz, one of the miracles that happened was Shemesh Begiven Daim happened in Gimmel Tammuz. Hashem stopped Yeshua. There was a war then. Yeshua was fighting Gideon or a couple of nations. And in order to finish fighting the nations, if it became night, if the sun would have set, it would have got dark, the Yidden would have had a hard time to fight over the nations by the story of Yeshua there. So Yeshua said that the sun should stop. And the sun stopped. The whole system of the world stopped, and it stayed day for another couple of hours. Yidden were able to be victorious, and they were able to win the war, and that was the... It says in Sfarim that this miracle of Shemesh Begiven Daim, that the sun stopped, there was never such a miracle before Yeshua and after Yeshua. The Pasuk says, before that there was never such a miracle, and after there never be such a miracle. The miracles are not the essential functionalities of the world are frozen. The fact that the sun rises every single day and there's a certain system of, that's part of the structure of the world. So even the Eibush split the sea. The fact that the sun is not just another creation of the universe. That's a general nivra. The fact that the day should stop, the sun should stop for a couple of hours, the sun didn't set, Shemesh Begiven Daim, was even within the realm of Nisim, was a nes which never happened before, never happened after. It was a nes shalei begeder haragel. The Eibush should fully cancel the rules of nature, to fully cancel the way the world functions. That's something that even within the realm of miracles it doesn't happen. The Eibush created the world. They created the world with a purpose. They didn't just create the world for a game. Created the world, and there's a system, and there's a yem v'layla layish baisu. There's a sun, and the sun rises, and the moon, and the whole system, the way it works, and it never changes. The same we learned to Rambam not so long time ago. They were exactly the speed and everything is exactly the same since Jason Abraham. There's no change, and that's the Eibush created the world with a structure, and we never go out of that structure. The nisim that happen are all details. There's certain aspect here and there. The Eibush makes a nes, makes a miracle. Apipashas advar. So the way we understand simply. Shemesh Begiven Daim that the sun itself should stop, even within the realm of miracles, was a pella. It's a chiddush. That's out of the... So the Eibush is already making such a nes, such a miracle, shalom begeder haragel. So why did he have to stop the sun? What was the purpose of stopping the Shemesh Begiven Daim? If it would have became night, the way it was naturally supposed to become night, so then it would be harder for Yidden to fight the goyim that they were fighting. Because it would be dark, and they wouldn't be able to win the Givainim, wherever they were fighting there. So once the day continued, the day stayed longer, so they had the ability to be victorious over the Goyim. But if you're already using such miraculous methods, so they should disappear. You can make it much easier. All the Goyim should disappear, or something like that. Why do they make such a nes Shemesh Begiven Daim? For the sake of being able to fight the war. Let the night stay night. Just make a miracle that the Goyim should run away without a war, or something like that. Why do you have to make such a mod nemaiser? So the Rebbe says the kavanah was not if the mission and the purpose of creation would be fulfilled through miracles, the Eibush didn't have to create the world for that. The Eibush was Eisen Fleiss even before the world was created. The purpose was that a Yid, being a neshama beguf living in this world, should do his avodah and to make the world a daily for the Eibush, to bring the world to its ultimate place. We're the ones that have to make this world a daily. We're the ones that have to bring godliness to this world. The Eibush does miracles. Of course, there's nisim that happen. The nisim that happen are always a result of a Yid bringing out this miracle. There's no nest that just happens with the Eibush himself. There's always a Yid, a neshama beguf, which is evokes this miraculous power. And even when there's a miracle that happens, this is the main point that's for us here, even there's a nest that happens, it's only for the sake of giving a Yid a koyach and a chayes and his serving of Hashem. The Eibush doesn't do the mission for us. It doesn't do the goal. It doesn't fulfill the... In order for the mission to be fulfilled, we have to do it. He's not going to do it. The purpose is that we should battle with the chayshach ve'elam hazeh, and we should ourselves fight the war, and a natural war, not a war of miracle. In order for us to have the ability to fight the war, he has to make a day for another couple of hours. The Eibush is going to cancel all rules of nature and make a day for another 10 hours. But to fight the war, we have to fight the war ourselves. saying why the time that we're tasting all the time. We're tasting the work itself we have to do. No one's going to do the work for us. The Eibush should give a yid. To give a yid has nefesh l'kis, nefesh b'hametz. Al Torah says in Tanya, there's mochame. A yid has his mochame in his own nefesh. There's a world that there's a chelka ba'el, like that always says. He has his share and his part of the universe that he has to make a keli telekus. That job, no one's going to do for you. That is a chayk. The Eibush gave it. That's a kelvi l'shamayim chutz m'yid. There's a job that we have to fulfill that no one's going to do it for us. The Eibush gives us his nisim and miracles to give us a chayis, to give us a push, and to give us the confidence in order for us to later go fulfill the work. That's the Shemesh. The Eibush could do the greatest miracle Shemesh would give in them. It would be much easier for him, so to speak, to just the goyim should disappear. The war should be just fade. They should make peace. Hashem Nasan, they say they have different. Hashem Nasan believe the goyim, they should make peace instead of fighting it all. That wasn't the kavanah. Was that Yid should conquer Eretz Yisrael at that time of the Yeshua by battling Umasaylam, and that in order for that to be fulfilled, the Yidden had to go through a battle, and it had to be a natural battle. There would be no way for the Eibush to do it. In order for us to fulfill that battle, the Eibush did nisim and aflois and any type of nest, even the nest which is sheyetzim yigad ragal gamri. But all for the purpose of us later doing what we have to do in order to fulfill the job we have to do. So in order to give us the idod, they say to give us the all external things or all outside things in order for us to go and work, that the Eibush is going to do. But the going and working itself, that we're going to have to do ourselves. That is no one's going to do it for us. That's of course they say this Tammuz, if this time. It's not that there's a giddiv asla and therefore we can go to sleep and it's going to happen. The job we have to do, there's a shemesh we give in time, and the Eibush does the most. For every single person, there's the ein balanas makar b'nisei. Certain times you are makar, but the Eibush helps a person. Shalei miderech haragel doesn't mean there's never a state where you can say the Eibush he's going to do the job for me. He helps you, and he gives you signs here and there. The job you're going to have to do yourself. That's as is Angish taught. The say that the Eibush created the world. If not, he didn't have to create the unit. He could have just stayed with Malachim. Could have kept Neshamas Ne'elam Atzilis. He didn't need us down here. He kept us here because he wanted this Abba Kadosh Baruch Hu that a Yid should pull through on his own. We should create. We should make it on our own. So if I bring it, that it says also that we kasher shamayim achadashim eretz chadash asher ani oisa. So one of the perushim is that today the shamayim, the eretz, is a heaven and earth that the Eibush created. Last level is going to be in heaven and earth that Yidden created with him, that we became shuttim with the Eibush. The Eibush created the world. The purpose was for the sake of a Yid creating a new heaven and a new earth, shamayim chadashim eretz chadasha, to make the world that it should be that it should reveal godliness, and that's our job. And he's not going to do that job. For that, we have to do that job. All the kayches and the inyanim that are nimshach is all to give us a chayis and to remind us that it's that kedusha is stronger than klippa, and that we have the ability to be victorious, and that at the end of the day we are going to be victorious. But the job is on us. He's saying why we have to be too many ti'imis. But Snegelin, this Rebbe explains. Shemesh B'Givin Dayim was a miracle that's beyond any imagination. It's not within the realm to make such miracles. Shemesh B'Givin Dayim. The purpose was, but much easier could have been if we would have just finished the war for us. But the job is the job we have to do. That's the.
Not similar to the miracle of Muhammad.
But Shemesh B'Givin Dayim, the Rebbe says.
Is it similar to this Ness of Muhammad, the connection?
Yeah, why was it gradual? Yeah, the Rebbe says, why was it gradual? Why didn't the Eibush make, if you're already doing a Ness, so why couldn't he make it in one shot, just free and fully? Why did it have to be first Gimmel Tammuz, and then you had to go to Golas, and then you Beis Tammuz? The Rebbe says the same thing. The Kavanah is that everything should work through according to, a Yid should have to struggle through things. The Rebbe says this word, but that's the Teichen. The purpose is not the Eibush should make miracles. Make miracles, good. Make miracles, but the Frierdiker Rebbe himself. I mean, we have no tzir. I'm saying the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't need. But the point is to show us that at the end of the day, there's we have to know that we have there's a backbone. We have what to rely on. There's kayches which are lamadim derech hateva. That doesn't mean that we have what to rely on. Therefore, we can go to sleep. You have to remember that regardless of what level of opposition that person experiences, or level of opposition that you encounter. So a person could think, I've only you're going into a desert for a week, 2 weeks, and you have an inch of water. So if to know that at the end of it, if push comes, there's a reservoir somewhere. You have nothing to worry about. But you have to be ready to throw yourself into the desert. Of course, he has to know that there's a reservoir. Lepoil doesn't mean that it's going to be easier for you to travel through the desert. And you're going to be fully, there's going to be air conditioning blowing in your face the entire time. You have to be ready to sacrifice yourself. But remember that there's no, the end result's going to be good. It's not, I'm saying, regardless of which words we say it in, the point is that keiches we have. And the Eibush just showed, there's this gospel that there's dikkim for Eisus and Eisus and Shuvatayr. The Eibush just shows us, that there's an Eibush which is ain't safe, and the Eibush is unlimited, and the Eibush is bleak full, and the Klippa is weak. He shows us from time to time this idea that Kedusha is stronger than Klippa. But he doesn't show us to the extent that we could feel that we could just cruise through life and to just keep things easy. He shows us that we have a major resource. We have a nasi, we have a rebbe which gives us keiches. But on the other hand, there's always a struggle. There's always work that's needed. It's never. That's the fact that it was a gradual goal. It's never that there's a miracle and now the Eibush takes care of things. Hashem yilachem lechem atan tacharishim. That's not the kavanah sabri is a person should work. So on one hand, if you're going to work without being aware of that there's a Eibush which is ain't safe behind you, you're not going to have the kayach to work. You're not going to have the ability to work. You're not going to have the certainty to be able to work. So on one hand, the Eibush gives us, he shows us that there's Eisus and Eisus and Tzadikim and Eisus and Eisus Shuvatayr, that this is Gasal of course. He shows us an Eibush there which is ain't safe. By Yidachem and Unidach, the kavanah is going to be for sure nismala. It gives us that certainty, that bitachon, that, but not in the expense of us feeling that our work is not important, that our work is not needed, that things will just be done on its own. This contradiction, maybe these two things, but this is the way it is. This is the way it is. It's never done one without the other. Shemesh be given daim, over the pile you have to go to war. There's a Gimmel Tammuz Lepel. It's a gradual thing. There's a galus you have to work through. Gimmel Tammuz was a big nest. Lepel is going to be in prison for another 10 days, and then he's going to be free. Even the Tammuz took time till he got his official certificate that he's free. It took another day. It means there was a certain order. Together with the fact that the Eibush shows a person that there's an Eibush which is behind you, Lepayel, it doesn't take away the effort that we have to put into the job. The kayach the Eibush gives us is never in a way that we could just give us the feeling that you're free to float now, and the things are going to just work. Lepayel, we have to work. Every person has a tafkid behind that he has to work. You have to remember that there's kayches, and you don't have to never feel the spirit, never feel yush, never feel that you don't have the energy, but not. To schlafen, to sleep and to take things easy, that's nicht. Work, you have to work. That's.
So what's the difference between now and after the Gula? Or after? Are there ever going
after the Gula?
Meaning, we say that the other night in Yom that the Gula by coming outside and thinking the Gula not the Gula. So if we're always going to have to work, why would we have to be? Why would we yearn for the days of Gula? Why would we think about?
And something else. Now we're going to realize the preciousness of Edus Ha'olam. That's what we're going to realize how precious it is. Today we don't appreciate the value of the Aveda itself. We just want the result. We want Aveda to be fulfilled. We don't appreciate the last of it is going to be in this gala that in the Aveda itself, there you have the deepest connection to the Eibush.
When they asked him, he said, I wouldn't want to go through it again, but I wouldn't want them to take away 1 minute from me. I wouldn't sell it. He appreciated the process. Not that he went through it. He wouldn't want to go through it again. But he said, it's precious to me, he wouldn't sell it for anything. I don't know the words he used, I'm not sure, but of going through that.
I feel to sleep 24 hours.
I have a shyness number. The days of Yeshua, it says that לפני לא היה, ואחרי לא היה.
לא היה כמה
So the question is whether it's a mess of Nakdim and Ben Gurion.
the water. No.
Yes. So how do you answer that?
It says the sun stayed,
It says that
cleared the sky.
he didn't have the water in the well, and he didn't have the money to pay. So he
The whole
went
world
to
is stopped, or
Hashem.
just in Yerushalayim?
Huh?
The whole world, or just in Yerushalayim?
By Yeshua it was the whole world.
Ze steht. I'm not saying from a source. I'm saying. But the pasuk says that the fun of Lahaya came back of Liyah.
Yeah, okay. So the lesson by Jesus probably was only Yeshua.
But Yeshua says later that they fulfilled those hours. It's later.
There was once a famous story that students came to the Rabbi and asked the Rabbi to perform a miracle for us. Thought it was like going to be a show or something. The Rabbi was going to do a magic trick. And the Rabbi told them, you could perform a miracle. Said a miracle is going beyond nature. Every person has their nature and has their tava and how they're accustomed to doing things. When you go beyond that, when you do something that's not comfortable and above your own tava, that's a miracle. And when you do that miracle, Hashem does miracles for you too. That's never answered them. They said do a miracle. A miracle is shaykh to us also.
So the Farbrengen is done. We need a miracle. That's because it's the Shem. You
You
go
don't
through
need-
classes for clothing in the house, just from the Chabad house. So it's a miracle. So we need to listen.
But this Indian that we have today at Chabad House, especially in what do you call it, Florida, is miracles upon miracles upon miracles. And Baruch Hashem, it's going. If people want to go, go. I could sleep 24 hours a day.
Chaim, from listening to the Shem.
Amen. L'chaim, l'chaim. Shahid shares tables, shares from the comments.
Amen.
The Rebbe said once that, about the Hanukkah story, where it says they had oil burning for 8 days. Why 8 days? Right? Now we know Hanukkah's 8 days, but why was it 8 days then? Until they can make new oil. I saw once, the Rebbe says from this that Hashem does miracles for you and helps you until you're able to figure out on your own and do it, make your own oil, so to say. Until you could do that, Hashem's going to help you. He's going to help you get on the road and do it until you could, get on your own, so to say. He's going to make miracles for you.
Now, because when the Gula will come, you're not going to have who to give. So Kaplan, my question is like, it says that the will oil kim even if people will not be totally poor, but the rich guy can give more to tzedakah. What's the command of that?
Madanim the same kafir. What do you mean?
Huh?
You madanim the same kafir.
But also today, before the Gula, you see that Ma'adon is the same club. It's not, people are not in the same level of poor. Maybe North is not good.
I think it's healthier if we sing a little bit, we become happier, and let the Yiddish do what they can, what the most of them.
Yeah.